up in here. How are you doing? Okay, that's a little better. How was your 1RM testing this morning?
Really cool.
Okay, I am so excited. We have a special guest speaker today. You don't have to listen to me blab today.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. This is Ty Ahrens. He is going to be giving you guys a presentation on finances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who has? I think I asked you guys this question a couple weeks ago. Who's really great with their finances? Who's like really crappy with their finances? Now Ken doesn't know about his finances.
Yeah.
Time, attention. We're really, really lucky to have him here today. So please give him all of the time and attention and love that you give me on a regular basis. And I get to learn today too, so I'm excited.
Awesome.
So sit down.
All right, so thank you guys for having me today. A little bit about, I'm gonna go through this presentation. I'll talk a bit about myself, a bit about what the MITM Club is, what it stands for, and a couple key things that'll be valuable for all of you. So today is going to be the financial crash course for fitness professionals specifically. And the reason why I made this for fitness professionals specifically is because I'm a graduate of this school. I graduated in 2017, and so I know what it was like to go into the industry and fall into every single trap and every pitfall that you could have stepped into, right? So my goal is to help y'all. But a little bit about myself. I was a super skinny kid. Going through this course helped me put on a good amount of muscle really fast. I run comedy shows and different events throughout the city. I brought the first comedy show to Lavelle nightclub downtown. I've hosted over 150 shows. And I also do a lot of these type of programs and trainings for young individuals. So with that being said, a little bit about myself. What is the MITM Club? Does anyone want to guess what this stands for, what it means? Ooh, very close, very close. You're only one word off. It's the first word. So everything in the making, on point. But yeah, one word off. Anyone else want to add to it? Give it a little guess. Literally. Millionaires in the making. So that is what the MITM Club stands for. And the reason why, for me, before, MITM used to be muscles in the making because I was a skinny kid trying to put on muscles. It was music in the making because I was a musician. It was a lot of different things. But for here today, it is millionaires in the making. And one thing that y'all may know or may not know is that throughout your lifetime, you will have $1 million pass through your hands one way or another. The biggest question is how much of it will you keep? How much of it will you delegate to make more money? I like to say, I like my money to make babies and for them to make babies so I can make my money make more money so I can be lazy, okay? Now the MITM Club is based on 6 core pillars, all right? And I strongly tell people when you master these 6 pillars, you have a good life in general, beyond finances. So the first pillar is the self, okay? This is because we're all in fitness. It's mind, body, soul. It's taking care of yourself so you have the right vehicle to go through life to do the best thing that you can do. The next pillar is fitness. This is your health is your wealth. If I gave you $1 million today, but you died in 2 hours, would you take it? Probably not. All right. Your next pillar is family. And when we think about family, it's not just about like blood family. It's also the people that are in your sphere of influence. It's your friends, it's your coworkers, it's your teachers, it's your classmates. This is your family. How long they stay in your life or don't, that's a different story. But that's an important pillar to manage. Education, foundation for everything else and helps lift up every other one of your pillars. And we have fun. I mentioned the rooftop shows that I run. My friends that we do crypto together, we threw Toronto's first crypto yacht party last year. And we throw a bunch of crypto parties out in Mississauga. So there's a lot of things happening there. But there's one pillar that's missing. Y'all could probably guess what it is, but anyone want to guess what the missing pillar is? Literally. See? Wonderful. Round of applause for participation. So finance, and we're going to be diving deep into finance. And fitness and finance are the same. Fitness and finance are the same. And until I realized this, I was struggling financially. But if you take everything that you're learning now in the fitness and health promotion course, right, and you just do a little shift of perspective, it is just teaching you about finances. The words might be different. It's not calories, it's dollars. It's not the workout program, it's asset allocation, but it's the same, all right? And so if you look at it with that lens, managing your finances is just managing a client, realistically. And if you're able to do that, it's so much easier, I promise you. So with that being said, here are some of the challenges that you may face when you leave school. You might be caught off guard by tax season or missing out on important deductions. Honestly, I think fitness is one of the best careers to be in because you can kind of like write off your life if you know how to do it right. Like when I left school, I got $10,000 back for my taxes because I was training people while I was in school. Like what? Make it make sense. Right? That pretty much paid for me being in school. I didn't learn this till 4 years later because my accountant's like, hey, did you do all these things, all those things? I'm like, no. And so we figured that out. The next thing, not having a retirement plan. So many folks, we train clients, we help you, but like, retire. When do you want to retire? And retirement doesn't have to be how everyone else thinks about it, where you're 65 and you're like, finally, I'm free. You could instead say, I just don't want to work anymore because I don't feel like it. And you have that freedom. So planning for that type of retirement is something a lot of fitness professionals and folks in our industry don't do. And blind spots that create challenges that many folks in the industry face. For example, when I first went out and got my first job, I didn't have any benefits. And I didn't know that I should probably take some of my paycheck and go and get my own benefits. So I'm not spending so much on health and dental, it's substantially less, right? So these are things that a lot of folks in these industries don't necessarily consider. So today there's 5 main things I want to go over with y'all, okay? I want you to know how to create and manage a personal budget. I want you to set realistic goals. I mean, I like to encourage people to dream bigger. So let's think unrealistic a little bit and then we hone it in. Understand some tax obligations, identify retirement goals, and implement risk management. This is something that we don't really do as trainers. And risk management in the fitness and health industry, I tell you, I got a pinched nerve. It's a long story how it happened. I wish I could say it was because I was like doing my PR 315 bench, but no, it was the silliest story. But I couldn't train my clients. I couldn't go and pick up a 15-pound weight, and it severely impacted how I can go and show up for my people and make money. If I could take the time off, I would have, but I didn't have things in place to manage that risk, all right? So with that out of the way, here's some finance facts. 2 out of 5 Canadians believe they'll never be debt-free, all right? So you look around and 5 of you clustered together, 2 of you guys may feel like that in the future. On average, Canadians spend $1.70 for every dollar that they make. How does that make sense? Like we're so in debt as a country, right? And these numbers are older numbers. I'm pretty sure it's much worse now. 32% of Canadians have nothing saved for retirement. And we're gonna go more in depth on what that looks like and what that means for the rest of us. On average, it costs $16,500 to raise a child from 0 to 18. And that's per year. So that means total you're spending $320,000 from 0 to 18. And ladies, you know about the pink tax? Yeah? You know about the pink tax? No? Well, the pink tax is saying that you guys end up spending more than guys do, right? Why are the pink razors more expensive than the not pink razors? This is how it happens, right? But there's other things that girls need that ends up being more expensive to raise a female child, a girl child, all right? Kidding. And financial stress is one of the top 3 reasons for divorce. So many people have so much stress in their relationships because their finances aren't in order. And hopefully by the end of today, none of y'all face any of that. So if we were to look at 100 people working for 40 years, so that means, show of hands, who's like in their 20s? Hands up, who's in their 20s, okay. All right, so this is saying you've graduated, maybe you're probably like 24, give or take, 25. This is what it looks like. So 54% of people are dependent. What does this mean? It means that you're relying on someone else, whether it's the government, whether it's family, friends, whatever. Hey, can I borrow $20 type of that, you know? You're dependent on other people to live, right? 36% of people are still working. When you see someone that's really old working at Tim Hortons, and maybe you were a teenager trying to get that Tim Hortons job, and you're like, why are you here? Like, this is supposed to be my job, my entry level job, right? 36% of these people are still working. 5% of it are deceased, right? They're out of the game, unfortunately. We have 4% of people that are okay. This means that they have $1 million or more put aside. You can live off of $1 million with just interest if you're living a very chill, low-key life. And about 1% of people are very wealthy. So the question is, and I'm gonna ask you guys, and I want you guys to talk to me as I ask this, why is it that 90% of people fail when it comes to their finances? And I'll tell you, there's 3 core reasons. Can anyone guess what one of the reasons may be? Yes? They do get emotional, so that would lead into one of the answers. So I'm gonna say yes. Anyone else wanna guess? Yeah? This is true. Yes, this is true. And this is why I believe the system wants you to be fat, broke, and hopeless. And we want to actually build out our freedom. So yes, but not the answer I'm looking for, but yes, you're right. Anyone else want to guess? Yeah? Lack of knowledge, and that is right on point for one of the answers. And I'll give you all the other two because I don't remember what order it is. Yeah, there we are. No financial education. When do you learn finances? How many of y'all went to a finance class from when you're first started school till now? Yeah, none of us, right? Thankfully, the Millionaires in the Making Club is starting to go into schools and teach, so the next generation won't fall into this. But no financial education. The next problem is there's no game plan. Like I said, fitness and finance are the same. So if you have a client that doesn't have a game plan, but they're overweight by 140 pounds, are they ever going to get rid of it without a game plan? No. So many of us have debt, or we have money come in, we don't know where it should or shouldn't go, we don't have it allocated, so there's no game plan. This is why so many people fail. And the last reason, all of y'all should get this one, but it's because there's no coach. There's no one to actually guide you, because anytime you're bad at something, you look for someone that knows more than you to help you do the thing you want to do. So these are the three main reasons why so many people fail. When it comes to 90% of people fail when it comes to their finances. So let's keep it rolling. Throughout this whole presentation, I want you to just keep in mind, you can make a mental checklist of different people in your life that you're like, hey, this person needs finance, hey, that person needs finance, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, start to think of how many people you can help. And as you learn about finances, to help better their lives. All right, so I got a little story to tell you else. I don't know if the music is gonna start playing or not, but whatever, if it doesn't. This is the story of Tiny Ty. This is Tiny Ty in grade 9, where his feet are too big for his body, and he's wearing all the wrong clothes. And Tiny Ty in grade 9 had like a massive, massive crush on this girl, okay? A massive crush on the girl. But the problem is he had all the wrong shoes, right? He had the absolute wrong phone. I don't know if y'all remember like when things went from, I had a Sony Ericsson when everyone had a BlackBerry, and then by the time I got a BlackBerry, they switched over to iPhone, and I'm like, damn, just one phone too old. Like, so she did not like Tiny Ty at all, okay? So Tiny Ty went to his grandmother, and his grandmother was the richest person that he knew, all right? A little bit more backstory. I'm the oldest of 11 kids. I grew up in Chesterlee. Do not come from money at all, right? My grandmother, she's a nurse. She, in my life, was the richest person that I knew, all right? And so I'm like, Grandma, I want to be rich. Teach me, like, how'd you do it, right? And my grandmother said, you need to talk to Paul. I'm like, who the heck is Paul? I'm talking to you. She's like, no, Paul is my financial advisor. So you need to talk to Paul and sit down with him, and he's gonna start to guide you, all right? Now, Paul helped my grandmother buy her first house and then sell the house to buy a bigger house. Paul helped my grandmother buy the cars that she wanted. Paul helped my grandmother go on the vacations that she wanted so she could start to live her dream life. I think now, well, it's like over 40 something years now, Paul is still advising my grandmother to help her with her finances. So Tiny Ty goes over to Paul. He's like, Paul, I want to be rich because this girl don't like me. I got the wrong shoes, the wrong phone, the wrong clothes, everything wrong. And I think maybe if I got a little money, you know, I could finesse a little something, you know? And Paul's like, all right, I'll help you. You can be rich if you follow what I teach you. Listen to what I got to tell you, all right? And so he sent me off on this journey. And it was interesting because I thought he was gonna like actually teach me how to make money, but he didn't. He did something else instead. He gave me his Audible account. Now this is back when you can download everything off of Audible, and now they don't let you download everything, but I had downloaded all the files that I could right off there. And he's like, the first book I want you to get is The Magic of Thinking Big. I'm like, all right, Paul, okay, cool, I get this book, Magic of Thinking Big, all right. You said to get the book, I got the book. Then he said, Get, Think, and Grow Rich. That's the next book I want you to get. And this book, actually, I have the original version, the deluxe version, 2 different audiobook versions, and the Think and Grow Rich journal. If that doesn't tell you how important this book has been for my financial growth. Just dropping nuggets. If y'all want to get the book, feel free, but I'm just saying I have the most versions of this book compared to any other book that I have, all right? And I studied it for a year straight to actually understand what was going on. I didn't touch another book except for this book, okay? So he told me Get, Think, and Grow Rich. The next book he said is As a Man Thinketh. You might notice that there's kind of a theme going on here. It's all about thinking, right? There's nothing actually, other than thinking and grow rich, there's nothing about money yet. I'm like, Paul, I'm trying to get rich. What are you trying to do to my mind? And he's like, well, wealth starts in the mind. If you can think a little differently than you think now, then more money will come to you, probably a lot easier. The next book he said is is The Richest Man in Babylon. Anyone heard of this book? Yeah? It's a pretty good book. Nice little fables, little stories, help get some more mindset. And the final one was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everyone should know this book, right? Yeah, I'm trying to steal this guy's spot. I'm trying to be the rich dad of Canada. But yeah, so Rich Dad, Poor Dad, wonderful book. And he has actually so there's the cash flow quadrant, retire young, retire rich. There's the actual rat race, the game. If you really want to go in depth in financial education, the entire Rich Dad suite is useful, all right? Although you have to shift things for Canada, but very useful. So I went off, I got these books, and he's like, all right, you got those books, congratulations, good job for starting. Get as many other books as you can. You have 24 hours, and I'm changing the password. And then you'll never get access to my Audible again. Although he forgot to change his password, and I got some more books. But I had 24 hours, and I was off. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about the backstory. How I even got started in finances, I started when I was 14 years old, and I've been teaching myself for a very long time. It's about half a decade now that I've been teaching other people. It's been about 3 years now since I started teaching in the Catholic Board, the TDSB, and running webinars, seminars, et cetera, et cetera. And it happened because I opened my gym in October 2019, which was the best time to open a gym ever. I had to shut down the gym 3 months later, and it was too little clients to just run underground like everyone was doing. So we closed that down and we switched from compound lifts to compound interest and made a lot more money with a lot less sweat, which is cool, but that's a whole separate thing. The two core things that I want to teach y'all today is your roadmap and your base camp, okay? And these are acronyms, they mean something, and there's actually 4 different acronyms I have, but I will be able to only have enough time to teach you the basics of these two. All right, does that sound fair? Does that sound fair? Yeah. Okay, cool. And along the way, I do want to give you guys more resources. I always love to give back to community. So things that I can't cover today, I will throw up QR codes on the screen. You can feel free to what's the word I'm looking for? Actually, I didn't even, okay, the QR code that's on the screen, I'm just remembering this now. It's actually from an older form, but don't worry, I will know that it's the same form. If you guys want the slides and everything and to go to the next level, like to learn more about the content, just fill out that form and I'll email you the info, okay? So let's get started with our roadmap. What does roadmap even mean? It means review, organize, align, define, and then create your massive action plan. We're all fitness folks. You might realize that this is kind of what you do with your clients. Before you get a client, you look at their past and their present. You say, hey, what's going on here? You kind of help organize their life with nutrition, with their exercise, with the times that they're doing things. You start to align their goals for them to say, well, you don't like CrossFit at all, but you like rock climbing. Let me make you a program to make your forearm stronger, your grip strength better, blah, 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 and I will align things to better serve you, right? And then lastly, you define. I mean, I like define as muscle definition, but you define, you make a clear-cut plan. And then a massive action plan is like, yo, how are we gonna get at it? How are we gonna do the thing now that we've built the road? Let's get on the map, okay? So let's get started with our review. If you guys have any pen, paper, or just your phone to write notes, I would strongly suggest, just for your personal selves, to write a couple notes as we go through this, but don't feel obligated at all, all right? Let's start a review. And a review starts with our past, right? When I say past, I say family. And I want you to think about when it came to finances, when it comes to money, what are some things that your family did? What are some sayings that your family had? What are some perspectives that they hold dear? And what are some spending habits that they have? I came from, well, I mean, no, at the time, I think it was like 8 of us. No, I was a teenager. And my youngest sister is like 3. I'm like, Mom, you still popping out more? That's crazy. At the time, it was like 8 of us, and it was very much like, we can't afford that. We can't do this. We can't do that. Like, I didn't even know what a family vacation was at all until like my uncle's like, hey, I'm flying some people out to whatever. I'm like, yo, that's sick, let's go. But I didn't know about any of that stuff. So my spending habits for my family were like very conservative, very like, I gotta hold on to this because I don't know when I'm gonna get more of this. So what are some spending habits that they had? What is their financial status? Were you lower income, middle class, upper class, ultra wealthy? What were those things? Start to get a picture of where you're coming from. What is their relationship to money? Do you feel good? Do you feel bad? Are there sayings like money doesn't grow on trees? Which I found out at 14 that that's a lie because I had my anyone know Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Yeah? No? Yeah? Okay. So I had my Fresh Prince moment where I was being a bad kid. My mom sent me out to BC to live with my uncle. and he set me straight. But I was working on the farms, busting my butt to work on these farms. And every time I'd fill up a giant bin of apples, I made 20 bucks. I'm like, wow, money grows on trees. The faster I could work, the more money I could make. And I went back when I started high school, I was rich. I had like $900 in my pocket. And I was like, pizza for everyone every day, let's go, we're balling. Not a good idea, don't do that, okay? How do they talk about money, right? How do they talk about money? And do I have another point here? Maybe not. No, yeah, so that's it for family, okay? These are things you want to start considering. It'll start to help you understand why you think the way you do when it comes to money. Do you have abundance mindset? Do you have scarcity mindset? Are you excited about money? Does it flow easily and frequently to you, like the affirmations that I like to build for myself, right? Okay, next, let's talk about your personal. When money comes into your life, what do? Do you save it, do you spend it, or do you give it away? Does anyone want to say what happens? What do you else do? You want to share? Save it, spend, give away? A little bit of everything? Save a bit, spend a bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Thank you for sharing. And you guys will find that whether you save, spend, or give it away is also based on your internal thermometer with what you're comfortable with. Like now I'm like, yo, if there's less than 10K in my account, there's a problem. Like I'm broke. Like I feel broke at less than 10K right now, right? And before when I was younger, I'm like, whoa, I have $1,000. Oh my God, I'm rich. You know, very different mindsets, all right? Okay, what are things you buy just for the sake of having? Like for me, I'm a tech nerd. I love technology. I have so much tech that's not necessary, and like I would overextend myself to buy new cool tech just for the sake of having it. Some people it's shoes, ganja. Some people it's like, you know, clothes. I don't know what it is for you, but I want you to think about what are things you buy just for the sake of having. What are your money pits? And a money pit is stuff that sucks your money away, which could be smoking, like I said, buying tech, Jordans, coping methods, okay? You actually get an oxytocin release when you go shopping when you're feeling stressed. So that shop till you drop or like retail therapy is a thing, but it's a money pit. Things like subscriptions. Like, do you have 1,000,001 subscriptions that you forgot about? That's just kind of draining your bank account every month. You don't use Disney Plus because they don't have the shows you like anymore, but you're still paying for Disney Plus. Why? Right? So think about your personal stuff to get a good snapshot. All right, then we're gonna go into your present. All right, what are you doing right now and moving forward? And we're gonna talk about the spending types and styles. So I mentioned some of them already, and you'll see we're gonna go more in depth. So we have abundant spending zone. This was Tiny Ty coming back from BC. Lots of money in his pocket. I wish he had a Supreme money gun so you can just go to school and be like, and then have to pick it up after, right? But you know, having abundance, this means you feel positively charged. You feel good about spending money. You're like, yeah, I got it, so I'm gonna spend it, whatever. We have neutral spending. I would say, when it comes to investing, when it comes to building wealth, neutral spending is probably the best place to be. It's not supercharged one way or another, all right? So how many of y'all feel like you're in the neutral zone? Just, you know, take note for yourself. Then we have scarcity spending. You're holding on to like, man, I don't have enough. And like I mentioned earlier, this could be because your thermometer or thermostat is at a different level. When I was younger, I'm like, ooh, I got $1,000. I got to slow up on the spending. Now I'm like, ooh, I got 10K. I got to slow up on the spending. What's going on? This is too little. I don't feel comfortable anymore, right? But your scarcity zone will change based on your upbringing and all these other things we've looked over so far. Avoidance. This is very interesting. Quick show of hands. How many people use their phone to pay for everything? Everyone use their phone, like phone, you use a card, you tap, you whatever. How many people actually use cash? People use cash in here? Yeah, so not really, yeah. And the thing about using cash, like I like to use cash. I don't like to use cards, phones, etc. whenever possible because I want to feel emotional pain from giving someone a $100 bill and they give me back less money, okay? I'm like, ugh, I don't want 50s, give me back my 100, please, like, you know? Like, so avoidance spending happens when you start tapping. You tap everywhere, like, I don't want to think about it. I got these bills coming out, but I need my Starbucks. I forgot to make lunch this morning and I'm at school, I need something, I tap it away, I don't think about it, right? Avoidance spending. And yeah, just so you don't feel what's actually happening with your finances, right? What you pay attention to grows. When we're working out, if you actually build that mind-muscle connection, you think about the bicep as it's contracting, it builds more, right? It's the same thing with money. Fitness and finance are the same. Emotional spending, I mentioned this already. This is when you may be feeling low self-esteem, you may be feeling upset, you may be feeling stressed out. You feel like you don't have control over what's happening in your life. And so you want some control back, and you're like, well, I have this $100 and I could do something with it because I can't do anything else in my life right now. You spend it. You feel better for 5 minutes, and then you're like, damn, I don't need this fidget spinner or whatever the thing is of the day. And you're like, now just sitting on your desk gathering dust. So this is emotional spending, all right? So those are the main spending habits. I'm gonna kind of fly through socioeconomic status just in the interest of time because I wanna kind of go deeper on a couple other things. But low income, under 20K per year, normally you need help from government, et cetera. Like you can't live on 20K, you can't live on 20K per year, okay? Unless you have roommates, unless you're in housing, like 20K is very difficult to live on per year at this point. Unless you're staying at home, then, live at home and save your money. I'd suggest, actually, side note, if you are living at home right now and you wanna move out, I strongly suggest, I wish someone told me this, find a place that you wanna live, look at how much that rent is, and start putting that away every month for at least 6 months to a year, and then move out. You'll feel way better, okay? Just putting that out there as a side tangent, all right? I wish someone told me that when I was younger. It would have changed my life. Middle class, 30 to 90K. Middle class, this is where most people are making money. You're probably making like 30, let's say 27 to about 40 per hour. You have your base financial needs met, go on a couple of vacations here and there. It's probably you and a spouse sharing, or that way you're over 100K earners if you're in the upper side. And then you're pretty okay. You have some disposable. And I like to say investable income because we don't want to throw money away, High income, this means you're making 100K or more. All the same things that are there as the middle class folks. And then we have, I actually don't have it here. Did I bring it with me? I don't think I brought my other book. That's sad. There is the ultra wealthy, which in Ontario, you need to be making $264,000 per year to be in like that upper class. And if you want to be like the 1% in Toronto specifically, you need like 367, something around there, 367,000 per year, which is pretty good amount to aim for. So that is a quick overview on socioeconomics. Here are some things to consider. Where do you get your money values from? That's what we covered at the beginning, to say, what do your parents, your family, your friends, etc. talk about money? Does money make you feel confident or insecure? Because some of us, having money makes you feel weird. Like, I gotta get rid of this. Or, some of it's like, I don't know. Do you feel confident or insecure with money? Do you have a history of making good financial decisions? And if not, why? Why don't you make good financial choices, right? Are you hesitant to take actions when there's issues regarding money? It's like, man, I know I gotta pay this bill, but I really don't want to. I got this parking ticket, and I'm just like, this parking ticket, I don't think about it. Are you hesitant? Are you impulsive with money? Or do you have the discipline to say no? And for parents out here, do your children have good values with money, especially if they will inherit it from you, right? This is something a lot of people don't consider. Because every one of us can leave multiple millions for our kids. Get a good life insurance policy, okay? And the question is just, how do they have values around money? And the better your values are, same way the better our parents' values could have been, or were, I don't know, the better your values will be for your kids. And how do you talk about money? Do you talk positively about it? Do you talk negatively about it? And if negative, how will you shift it to positive, right? Like I really try to not say that I spend money, I say I circulate it, because I know it just comes back to me. It's like I circulated some more money today. Circulated another $1,000, it's coming right back, right? It changes things, right? It changes the energy around money, because money is just energy, right? It's a store of value for work that you do. So knowing your past and present is the key to starting your roadmap. Any good roadmap starts with past, present. It's like, oh, I'm right here and I want to go over there. Well, I've got to weave around here and weave around there. I'll be in the corner of the room and that's great, all right? Next thing for your roadmap is to organize. Organize. And this is something that a lot of trainers don't do. We think money's so complicated. I'm like, just think of it as another client. How would you organize your clients' folders? Would you make sure that their meal plan is set properly, that their workouts are set properly, that it's all in like one file with their name on it, or are you gonna have it scattered everywhere? And so many people, when it comes to their finances, they just scatter it everywhere. That's why they have problems. So let's talk a little bit about organizing, and the first thing organizing is building out your budget. All right, how many people here have a budget? Hands up, raise the hand. 1, 2, 3, okay, we got a couple. How many people here want a budget? Who wants a budget? No one wants a budget?
All want a budget.
Wow, that's well. Hopefully at the end of this, everyone wants a budget, because for me, a budget is so much freedom, right? I have something called a living wealthy account, where I get to spend like an idiot out of that money, and I'm like, yo, I budgeted for this. I could be stupid right now. This is great. Or I can go on vacation. You know, I could buy a Sphinx cat. I don't know, whatever. I can live my best life. So, your budget is just you writing down how much you're going to spend each month and making that decision. It's very simple. Right? Nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. But what does it mean for you to have your budget, right? It means you'll make sure you have enough every month. How many people are going to be personal trainers after this? Hands up for personal trainers. How many people want to be more fitness instructors after this? Fitness instructors, not okay, a little bit. How many people are trying to like bridge this into like nursing or like a different type of course? Not really. Okay, 2 people for that. Okay. How many people want to open up their own gym after this? Open up your own gym. Okay. All right. I would say for those of you that are going into like to be personal trainers specifically, it is feast and famine. Okay. January, everybody's rich. June, everybody's broke, except for a select few trainers that know how to make the things work. And so when you have a budget, when you're like everybody's rich, you're like, I'm gonna stay rich because I budgeted to stay rich, right? Whereas other people are like, hey, I was balling for a little bit and now it's bust. It's like, yo, you have a budget, you're good. And budgeting with a fluctuating income is one of the hardest things to do. It actually takes more foresight, takes more, what's what I'm looking for? It takes more discipline to budget with a fluctuating income. Because I remember some months as a trainer after I graduated, I'm like, whoa, I did like 10K this month. I've never made this much money in a month. That's crazy. Little did I know, the gym I was working for gave me the 6 months of the client's contract up front. And I was like, damn, I had to take out 30% for taxes. Like, I was going down to the bay and getting them to fit me. I'm like, hey, dress me today. Like, get me some clothes. I don't know. It was ridiculous. So a budget will actually help you. Without that budget, you might run out of money before your next paycheck. And if, like I say, if you're in a fluctuating, making money and it's fluctuating, it's gonna be a problem. And when you're budgeting, you could actually reach your financial goals and dreams. And one good thing that I had, even when I didn't have a budget, is every month I paid myself first. I didn't care. I paid myself 10% minimum first, and then I'll put more on top of it. And I watched my money go from, well, like 5,000, I stopped putting money in. I went to look at it again, it was 10K. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I looked at it again, it was 20K. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, why didn't I put more money into this? And that's the power of compounding. But if you're able to budget, at least pay yourself first, you'll be on a pretty good trajectory. So to avoid being a financial failure, you need to make your own budget. And these are the keys to budgeting. The first thing is calculate. When we're calculating, you need to look at your gross income, your deductions, and your net income. Deductions can be employment insurance, Canadian pension plan, company pensions, benefits. That's if you're working for someone, but you should put these deductions in place if you're self-employed or if you're a trainer, whether you're in a big box gym or otherwise, because this is very useful. Specifically, I didn't know until recently, you could pay for your own employment insurance even if you work at a gym. Like you can, even if you're like, hey, I just work on my own as a trainer, you could pay for employment insurance. So if anything happens to you and you can't train people, you still have some cash flow coming in. Like, why didn't they tell me this when I was in college learning fitness? Like, you know? So that's really something that's really beneficial. And you can use all these deductions regardless as a solo proprietor, gym owner, whatever. Next one, track. Same thing as our clients. You want to make sure that you're tracking your clients' nutritions, their resting rates, how their heart rate changes, etc. What's the difference when it comes to finances? Well, it's just receipts, it's bills, it's bank statements, it's credit cards. And the easier thing about tracking finance compared to tracking fitness, because fitness, like your client changes every like 4 weeks, right? Pretty much 2 to 4 weeks, your clients will change as the progressive overload happens and they plateau, blah, 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 whatever, right? Cool thing is, if you track for 30 days, you kind of have an idea of what your annual is for your finances. And I would say probably like, I don't know, every other month, every 3 months, every quarter, whatever works for you, just do a quick review and then you have a whole snapshot. I mean, your holiday spending might be a little bit more than your spring spending, and your midsummer spending, when everyone's going to, I don't know, Cabana or whatever different places, might be a little more than your fall spending. I don't know. But you'll have an idea if you do it for 30 days, at least where your baseline is, right? And if you go back to budgeting, you can budget for when you have more things coming in. Okay, next is set some goals. I'm just gonna jump over this because everyone knows SMART here, right? Everyone knows SMART goals? Yeah, okay, so pretty straightforward. Then you wanna plan. Once again, rule 1, pay yourself first. I'll say this over and over and over. If there's nothing else that you remember from me today, please just pay yourselves first. And this is what the plan could look like. So you want, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more what you mean by that?
Pay yourself first?
Pay yourself first.
Oh yeah, so
They might not.
So pay yourself first just means, let's say I give you $20, right? And you give me back $20. I'm gonna take $2 from that and put it into an investing account. I don't even care that it was my money that I gave you gave back to me. Every time money comes back to me, 10% of it I put into an investment. Because what I'm telling you, like compounding is so great. It's like the glitch in the system, but it's just math. And even to see how much my money has grown to now, because I've been doing this since I was 15, I'm like, bro, like if I want, I can go pick up a house if I want. And it's not for me going and working places, it's just for my money making more money. And like that's the most exciting thing to have happen, right? Pay yourself first, at least 10%. But in this next slide where I say, if 10% feels daunting, hey, yo, start with 1%, just practice. 1%, pay yourself 1%. You'll feel silly paying yourself 1%, but if you automate it in your bank account, you'll be like, oh wow, there's money in my wealth accumulation account. Where did that come from? You don't notice it. It just becomes another bill that you're paying for. But so many people are willing to pay Rogers and pay the TTC and pay for their food and they pay everyone else. And then afterwards they're like, well, I have $5 left for myself and I'm gonna save this. Are you not important? Are you not a valuable person? You work to serve everyone else? No, you deserve to have something for you. So pay yourself accordingly. Pay yourself first, right? That's why that's the first rule and I keep repeating that. Emergency fund. For emergency fund, we're looking at 10 to 20% of our income. Your fund money, I like to call it my living wealthy account because like, you gotta be wealthy to have a unicorn blow up doll on the lake. So I say 5 to 10% of my money I could be stupid with, and then you're living 50 to 70%. If you can keep these numbers lower and you can increase this number, you'll probably get to retire sooner. And retirement just means you don't have to work anymore if you don't want to. So like, how many of y'all would want to retire by the time you're like 35? Hands up, 35, retire. Means you could travel the world and have a good time and not have to work ever again. Yeah, only two people, one person's. Y'all want to retire at 40? 50? Y'all want to retire at 30? Is it younger? Am I going too old to start? Y'all want to retire tomorrow? Was I going too far into the future? But yeah, if you actually plan for that, it's like, oh, you're free sooner, right? We said review. Review is kind of straightforward. Make sure you're on course. And the last pillar, oh yeah, review. Yeah, I say 1 to 2 times a month. Realistically, it's like, if you review your money when you get paid, it's kind of nice. Funny story, when I was working at the federal court for a while, I was doing my bi-weekly review because I know they like to mess around sometimes. And I'm like, guys, why is there like $400 missing from my check? Like, what is this? Review your money. Because sometimes things like that happen accidentally, or sometimes the company double charges you, but you don't even realize. And they're like, hey, thanks for the free money. Thank you. But you didn't review your stuff, right? Ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how well are you doing? Be your own coach. If you don't want to be your own coach, I'll be your coach. So I got you. Be honest with yourself. Are you staying on budget? Or are you off budget? And what are you going to do to fix that? It's like, hey guys, I know it's fall. Leave the pumpkin spice lattes alone, okay? Just for a little bit, okay? And how can you improve on your current plan to reach your goals, right? Can you do it faster? Did you notice somewhere you're like, hey, yo, I was putting too much here and I don't need my pumpkin spice anymore because I want to go to Bali on a trip. I don't know, I'm just saying shit. So maybe you take that money you put into that investment account instead, right? And then adjust. Yo, your budget is for you. Like, don't have to follow the numbers that I'm saying. It's your life. Do what you want and just make it work for you. So if you're trying to do something and it doesn't feel right, then don't do the thing. That's stupid. Do something different. Adjust it. All right. And that's kind of one of the main things. One thing that I will say: not enough people negotiate raises or pick up side hustles. Not enough people look for more money that's floating around. All right. There's money like literally floating in the air. If you can be a money antenna, you will see it and it will come to you and it will love you. This one dude says, money is like a woman, okay? You need to pay attention to her. And you gotta give her some love and she'll come to you, all right? Okay, let's keep it moving. So this is notes just for yourself. What percentage will you pay yourself first, right? And decide what percentage you're gonna give yourself. And decide just means cut off all other options and say, this is, I've decided. There's no, maybe I will, I sort of will. No, just decide, okay? And try it out for 6 months. See what happens. Your emergency fund. This is in case shit hits the fan. Realistically, you should have 3 to 6 months minimum, and your emergency fund turns into your wealth accumulation fund, turns into your F you money, I hate working here, I'm leaving, drop mic when you leave your job, all right? That's what your emergency fund turns into in the grand scheme of things. Living wealthy account because, you should enjoy life now while life is for the living. It's not to be, stingy and everything. So what percentage are you gonna put to your living wealthy account? When I was first starting out, I'm like 5%, I can go to a little concert here and there, little hang out, whatever. And then living, how much do you actually wanna live on? If you can live below 50% of your total income, you are golden, all right? It'll be tough, but you'll be golden. So these are some essential documents to look over. Income statements, expense receipts, bank statements, tax documents. Tax documents for y'all is gonna be very important. You have to keep them for at least 7 years, especially if you're working for yourself. And we'll go more into taxes in a little bit, right? And your investment records because you wanna know where your money's going and what's happening with it. The easiest way to organize your documents is digitally, right? But you wanna keep physical copies as well. You could use apps like, what's the app I use? I use Wave app. It's mostly free. Now they added a tier where if you want to scan your receipts, you got to pay us like $10 a month, but it's very useful because receipts fade, right? And I said you could write off almost everything in your life as a trainer. If you drive anywhere, you can write it off because you're doing marketing. And if you go to the grocery store and you happen to put up a poster, now it's marketing. So that whole drive there and the gas there and the mileage there is now a write-off. And if you can be creative with your stuff and talk with your accountant, because I'm not an accountant, I'm not dealing with taxes, but you could talk to your tax person and ask them, and they'll tell you, as a trainer, you can pretty much write off everything, your food, 50% of your food, your travel. My accountant told me if I buy credit cards, like the prepaid cards, and use them when I go to Costco, I could write off the prepaid credit card because it's business marketing expense. I didn't tell you that, so just putting that out there. Label everything clearly. Make sure you file your stuff properly. Do your regular updates. Like I said, it's great to review constantly. You have to review with your clients to make sure they're good, right? I'm curious, how often do you guys review, or would you review with a client? Every 6 weeks? So do the same for your finances. This one gym I was gonna go work at called Body Soul Fitness. They're like really intense. So every 4 months on the dot, we review with our clients because if they change by a millimeter, we want to have that data. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. You could be that intense or you could be less intense, all right? Next, you want to align your goals. And aligning is actually very interesting because the way that I show people to align is something I call, let me see if I'm on the right slide. Yeah. So it's something I call vision casting, right? So as we're aligning, the best way to predict the future is to create it, right? You guys decided to join this class, join this course, so you've already started creating your future. Every decision you make is leading you down one road or another road. I don't know if y'all believe in multiverses or any of that stuff, but you can make the future that you want. So here's the next step. And the next step is vision casting. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want your future to be? This is why I'm asking a lot of questions like, when do you want to retire? How much money do you want to make when you leave here, right? What's your annual thing? And actually, let's go into that. First of all, who do you want to be? Think about the person in your community that you want to be. Crazy thing is, I'm just remembering this now. When I was 15 and I was learning from my mentor, Paul, I said, I want to learn so much about finance so I can go back and teach other people. I said that at 15. I'm now 29 and I'm teaching here at the college that I went to. Crazy. I created the future back when I was 15. I wanted to be a person that was doing the thing, right? So who do you want to be? And I tell people to start with who do you want to be, because who you want to be and that character that you're designing and creating, because that's all it is. It's just character you're creating. Every decision you're making, creating that character, will decide everything else. What do you want to do? And when I say do, I mean both work and fun. I'm trying to travel every 3 months for at least 10 days. And I don't want to have to pay. I just want all-inclusive everything. I want to be lazy. That's what I want to do. I want to take my girl with me, right? And have a good time. That's what I want to do. What do you want to do? What do you have fun with? What do you enjoy? What matters to you? And then what do you want to have? This is the more material, the cars, the house, the whatever. I go back to do because what charities you want to give back to. How do you want to volunteer and serve the community? Like this is volunteer hours right now for me, but I like to serve people, right? That's why I got into fitness in the first place, although we shifted to finance. And these are some things to think about. What are you doing for fun? What are you doing for fun? What kind of cars, house, travel? How are you taking care of yourself? So many people forget to take care of themselves, right? Especially guys. Guys, go for a massage or something. Like, go take a spa day. Relax. Take a day to take care of yourself, right? And so, yeah, what kind of house, travel, food? What kind of clothes do you wear? How do you travel? Like, are you like driving everywhere and taking trains, or like are you first class on a plane? I don't know. How do you travel? How are you giving back? Who are you serving? And when will you retire? When do you have enough money to just have the option to say, Dan, I kind of hate you. You suck as a boss. I'm out. I never had a boss named Dan. I don't know why I thought of that name, but it is what it is. So map out your future. And then once again, define it, right? What does that specific future look like? And when we define, I want you to, part of your vision casting, look 15 years from now, start 15 years in the future. And I wish I could have done this exercise with y'all, but I actually get people to write it like a story. Like 44-year-old Ty sitting on his porch. His kids are running around. Little dogs running in the grass. Like I write it like a story, right? And then I go through all 6 pillars: fitness, finance, health, fitness, finance, family, fun, education. I go through all my pillars and I'm like, okay, what does the character's life look like in all these pillars? So I can create that thing. And then I come back a little bit. I'm like, well, 15 years is very far. Okay, what would 10 years look like? Okay, to get to 15, he had to do this at 10. He had to do this at 5. He had to do this at 3, 1. And then 12 weeks. Break it up into 12 weeks. This is just periodization, but for your life, right? You have your big audacious goal, and then you work backwards from there, right? Fitness and finance are the same. And you wanna know how much your dream life costs? I'll keep on bringing this up. How much does it cost? I know for me, I'm like, yo, the dream life, and even then I realized it's too small because I started doing masterminds with people that are making this much in like a week, which I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, I wanna do like 60,000 a month. That was my goal. 60,000 a month. I think that's doable. It was scary when I first heard it. But then I met someone doing 60,000 a week. And I'm like, what the, what did you say? In a week? Okay, I got some work to do. Yeah, that's crazy. How much does your dream life cost? And break down all those things. And then we start to map it out. So mapping it out is your massive action plan, which takes all the thinking and dreaming and whatever we put together, and we start to map it out directly. We do not have time at all to go over all of that today. So if you want to, if you scan this code, it will give you access to a form, Google form. I know, it's gonna say like Money Mastery quiz or something because I was working on it at 4 a.m. and I forgot to change everything. I just remembered right now. It's okay, fill out the form. And at the end of it, because I know that this form is for all of you guys, I will send you over some resources to help you build your massive action plan. What exactly is Basecamp? Anyone want to give a guess at what Basecamp is? Sort of. So, and I'm not going to ask you guys to guess the acronym because you'll never get it. You'll never get the acronym. But Basecamp, let's say you wanted to climb Mount Everest. Well, we just created our roadmap, so you know how we're going to go up the mountain. There's kind of a theme going on here. In order to go up the mountain, you need to go to Basecamp. It's where you get all your tools, all your supplies, you meet your guide, et cetera, right? So this is Basecamp. And today what we're gonna be focusing on more so is the base part. We don't have time to go into the camp part, but we're gonna go into our base. So base means build assets and secure earnings. As fitness instructors and folks going into the fitness and health sector, you're gonna wanna build assets and secure your earnings. Afterwards, camp is create, advance, multiply, and prosper. That is a whole, I need like 4 days to talk about that. Like that's a whole other thing. So we're just gonna talk about the base today, all right? And let's go into it. So, and actually, yeah, specifically build assets. Anyone that is here, like I have some tools that I've created to help trainers kind of like, my goal is to help make you a better trainer. If you're a better trainer, you make more money, you make more money, you have more money, you can save more money, blah, 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 all that stuff. So the build assets is a big part of this course, but we only have like less than an hour left. So I do not have enough time to go into build assets. We're gonna be talking primarily about secure your earnings, okay? If you can secure your earnings in a fluctuating market, with fluctuating income, you're blessed, okay? So let's go into secure earnings. And the first thing we're gonna go into is taxes. Everyone's favorite thing, taxes. Amazing. We love taxes, right? We don't love taxes. Taxes suck. It's actually robbery, but that's a whole different conversation. Let's look a little bit about the Canadian tax system. Does anyone know about taxes so far? Anyone know about the tax system, how it works? So? Not really? Okay. So good, you're getting a crash course today. So the main objective is I want you to understand the Canadian tax system and the different types of taxes in Canada. Once again, I've had to condense this heavily, so we'll touch on some of this. And when I send you guys the slides, I'll send you like all the slides. Like there's, I think, over 200 and something slides that I created for this. Like I had to cut it down just for the time. Income tax, how income tax works, calculated, common deductions, I think that's in here today. Other taxes like sales taxes, property taxes. Anyways, let me not go over all this because I actually don't remember what's on the next slide. So, how many of you have filed a tax return before? Okay, that's what's up. Did you get a tax return after you filed your taxes? Did you get some money back? Yeah? You know what that means, right? That means they robbed you and you paid them too much money, and you should never pay them too much money. Unless you're bad at managing money, then pay them money so that you can get back some. But you should never pay more money than you have to, okay? They robbed you. And a lot of people don't even know that, right? It feels like it, yeah, but it's your money. Like, they no, it's not free money. That's like, okay, that's like you go to a store, right? Let's say you go downstairs to the cafe, whatever. You want to get like those boneless chicken wings or whatever, right? Get some sauce on it, And you're like, here's $50. That is too much money. And they have to give you back change, right? Now the government's like, I'll give you back change next year. And you gave them an interest-free loan for all that time you didn't have your money. That's what it feels like free money. Yeah, it feels like it, I know. It does. But it's like, can you imagine if you could have earned like 14% on that money, right? It's like you gave like interest-free loan, and they will not, like, when you owe the government money, they are not nice to you at all. So don't be nice to the government, okay? don't fill their pockets unnecessarily, okay? Quick overview, federal versus provincial. Y'all probably know some of this already. Federal is collected by the CRA. This is GST, and they use these funds for national programs and services like defense, healthcare, infrastructure, whatever, right? And then, I know, right? They should, but do they? No, not always. And then provincial, each province and territory collects their own taxes. This is like PST in British Columbia or QST in Quebec. And these are used for local services like education, healthcare, transport, et cetera, et cetera. Just a quick overview, in case y'all didn't know. Now, there's all these different types of taxes, which is, I like to say there's all this type of robbery, okay? The income tax, as soon as you make money, they take money. This is why I'm telling you, as trainers, you can write off everything. Look down at the shoes you're wearing right now. Have you ever worn these shoes while training someone? Yes, you did. Great. It's a write-off. Okay. So now when you go to do your taxes, you're like, hey, government, give me back my HST and my GST. This is for business purposes. Everyone's wearing a Centennial College shirt on. Actually, any of the clothes that you're wearing right now, if you make it a uniform and you wear something similar, that's a write-off now. Okay. Yeah. If you only, food and drink is a little tougher. You can do like 50% of food and drink if it's for a business meeting. And you know what every single one of your client sessions are? A business meeting. Yes, write-offs, okay? So we're trying to keep as much of our money right off the bat and be like, yo, you're not taking my stuff. Sales taxes, you can get a lot of this back when you find the right write-offs. Now, I'm not a tax specialist, so please talk with your tax person or accountant to make sure that everything's good for you, okay? Because you don't want to do tax fraud, which is a whole different conversation. Property tax. They're going to tax you from having a house, having a gym, having whatever. And then there's just other taxes in general, just carbon tax and other foolish taxes. Like, can you believe that they tax you so much? You make money, they take it. You spend money, they take it. You want to live somewhere, they take it. You want to start a business, they take it. Like, this is why taxes are not fun, all right? Yeah, so I kind of already jumped ahead and talked about all of this. So let us see. Tax filing is not just for tax season, it's year-round activity that can help you manage your finances more effectively. And here's why it's essential. You can maximize your deductions and credits. And at this point, I know that I didn't finish this next slide, so I'm just gonna say it off the top of my head because, no, I did these ones, but the next one I didn't. Avoid penalties. if you're good at tax, you have a good tax person, you can avoid a lot of penalties. And this is where I'm saying you don't want to do like tax fraud, or you make a mistake, have a good tax person. And once you like have a good tax person for like 1-2 years, you can kind of do it on your own. Like they're not complicated, guys. They're not complicated. Just keep your receipts, throw them into a software you scan it automatically, export it, just say this is that, that's this, whatever. But if you don't have the time to, you don't want to, pay someone, it makes life easy too. And then financial forecasting. How many people have done like RSP in here, Registered Retirement Savings Plan? Because anyone has contributed to that? No, yep, 2, 3, okay. RSP is normally for financial forecasting. A lot of people use it for that. They're like, I made more money this year than I thought I would, or I'm about to be in a different tax bracket and I don't want to be. Well, they try to then they use RSP for financial forecasting. But you could also say, I have all these deductions and I'm going to use it to forecast and say, I made $100,000 this year, guys. It was great. But like on paper, I only made like $14,000. How is that possible? Because of all the deductions. Because if you write programs in your house, this is more so if you're like a solo trainer. If you work for a gym, it's a little harder to put this off, but you could write off your rent as a tax deduction. For most of us, that's like the biggest expense. So there's ways to do this. I would say, like, once again, talk with a tax person and they'll help you. So like I said, some things to consider. Close. Education and continuing knowledge. Every single course that I get and pay for, it's continuing knowledge in my field, or if I'm trying to step into another field, so that's a tax write-off. Your phone, because you're trainers, how many of you use your phone when you're training a client, right? It's a tax write-off. You need to talk to your client through text or whatever. That phone bill itself is a tax write-off. You drive to a client's place, that's a tax write-off. You need to buy a new laptop, it's a tax write-off. And the car, the phone, and the laptop, you can write them off over and over for a certain amount of years. It's just less and less towards your tax thing as time goes on. I think phones is like you could write them off for the 2 years, which most phone plans, you're on a contract for 2 years. Yeah. So, and this is a great thing. You have a fitness license. So you're technically like, even if you work for a gym, there's a way to be like, well, I'm also self-employed. Like, get a Trainerize app and train one client online. Train your mom. Like, I don't know. I didn't say that, but like there's so many ways around it. Like, you are a business, right? As a trainer. And so it's like, just be creative and talk with your accountant or your tax person to figure out how to get more creative. And if you have an accountant that says you can't write anything off, like, don't go to H&R Block, okay? They almost made me lose $10,000, okay? Because while I was in school, I was training people and I was buying battle ropes for myself, and I was buying the adjustable dumbbells and resistance bands and all these things so I can go out and train people. And I kept telling them at H&R Block, hey, I kept all of these receipts. Shouldn't I be deducting this? They're like, no, that's fine, because it's more work for them. They just want my $70. But I found someone, her name is Rose. She's like the best person ever. She took all of my historical stuff. This is why I also say, keep your documents at least 7 years. You can go back 4 years in your taxes and fix a bunch of stuff. And she's like, hey, here's 10K. I'm like, whoa, I'm rich. This is great. I'm gonna invest this because I wasn't expecting it. That's better than the tax refund. I tell you. The softwares that you're using, all write-offs. And this is in your house, whether it's electrics, your hydro, your home insurance, et cetera, all those things for trainers are all write-offs. And if you're creative with it and you learn a bit about tax code, you save more money, right? Okay, the next thing for secure is insurance, okay? Insurance is like the least sexy thing on the planet, okay? No one likes insurance, but it's very useful, and not just like life and health and all that stuff, but there's also insurance for trainers in particular, right? But I will touch on a little bit of all of them. Why are we gonna focus on it? It is for risk management, okay? You wanna manage risks. A client trips and falls and breaks their arm, and you're training them in their condo, you're screwed. They can sue you for whatever. Have insurance, you're probably better off, and it's not expensive. I think when I started doing like in-home training with folks, I think the provider I was using was only like $160 for the whole year, and it gave me like $1 million liability in case anything happened to clients as I'm going to their condo, as I'm going to their gyms to go and train them wherever. Or if I train them in the park, I'm like, well, I have my liability insurance, I'm good. It's not expensive. It's something you should get if you're going to train solo. Normally, a lot of people think that it's just old folks that buy insurance, right? I'm young and healthy. Why the heck do I need to get insurance? And the truth is, who actually is buying insurance? It's old people, it's folks around your age, even on young folks, because kids break bones and all sorts of other foolishness, and sometimes parents need to be with them. And this takes away from your training hours or your working hours, and this is important to have. You can get paid when your kid gets hurt. Not that that's a good thing, but you could get paid, okay? Here are the correspondences based on life. So students, renter's insurance, health insurance, travel insurance. One of my, not one of my dad's friends, but a family friend got sick on vacation, couldn't get the help he needed, dies. And do you know how much it costs to transport a dead body from the Caribbean back to Canada? It's a lot of money. Travel insurance can be like $30 for a trip. And they can be like, yo, priority access, get you on the right plane, get you to the right doctor, whatever. Travel insurance for young folks, start that, okay? Auto insurance, professional liability, that's what I was just talking about. In case someone gets hurt while they're training with you, it's good to have your own liability. And if you're working, I would tell you this, if you're working at a gym that mostly deals with cash, like so many people might or might not be doing, I don't know, I'm not judging. I love cash, personally, cash is king. They probably don't have the right insurance to make sure you're good. So having your own liability insurance goes a long way. Planning ahead, like life insurance, long-term disability, and others, right? Some people don't think about life insurance, but if you're like, hey, if your practice is making $90,000 per year and you're helping your family and something happens to your family, screwed. How are you gonna make sure your family maintains that lifestyle that they had? And while you're young, it's really, really cheap. So when you buy insurance, you transfer the cost of a potential loss to the insurance company in exchange for a fee known as a premium. In return, the insurance company promises to cover whatever financial losses. That is it in a nutshell, and this is the key terms. So premium, deductible, coverage, and claim. Has anyone heard of these words before? Yeah? Mostly for cars? Yeah? Yeah. And it's the same with everything else also. And here's the breakdown of what it means. So what you pay regularly to maintain your insurance, that's your premium. Deductible, the amount you pay out of pocket before the insurance is willing to kick in and help, right? I just put a car on Turo. The first trip that I put it on Turo, it got into an accident. Right? I was pissed. It cost $1,600. Now, the thing is, I bought a car strategically. I only spent like $2K on this car. There's no way in hell I'm spending $1,600 to fix it. I just bought it for so cheap, okay? Like, it's supposed to make me money. Thankfully, I took the Turo coverage. My deductible is $0. They paid for everything. The car's back on the road. And because I'm friends with the mechanic, I kind of took a little bit extra money for myself, you know? So happy. Coverage, the amount the insurance will pay for a covered loss and your claims, the request made to the insurance company. Okay, I know, not sexy at all, but here's how it works. Here's the flow. So the flow of money, in case MITM Insurance Inc. doesn't exist, but you send them money and something happens, right? Whether car accident, sickness, whatever, they send you more money because they have a giant pool of money here for you. So anytime something happens, they give you more, okay? What would life look like without insurance? So let's say you got into a car accident. Does anyone know what happened? Let's say you killed someone in a car accident. Probably if you don't have, especially if you don't have insurance. If you don't have enough money to cover that. This is why they say minimum $1 million liability. What would happen if a client got sick or injured under your care and you didn't have insurance? Or if you didn't have your fitness license, if you let your license expire? Now it's malpractice, a whole different problem. Because then no insurance you have could even cover you because you don't have the right coverage and license, right? Or what would happen if either you died or someone else died if you don't have the right coverages? There's lots of terrible things that would have. So here are the benefits. One, you could build out financial stability if you have the right type of coverage. I mentioned things like getting sick, okay? Or health and dental, or like life itself. But let's talk about health and dental and getting sick. And let's say even EI, because EI is employment insurance, it's the coverage. You're training someone in the gym. Oh no, pinched nerve, I'm messed up. Can't train clients for a while. I need to go spend money for physio. So not only am I not making money by training someone, I have to go and spend more money for physio. You crazy? But if you have health coverage and you pay a little bit at a time, it's like, hey, you have this many physios and we'll cover up to 800, up to 1,000, up to whatever your coverage has. Doesn't that make your life a little less stressful? Health and dental. Oh no, you tripped and fell in the gym and chipped a tooth. How expensive is it to fix a tooth? Do you want to come out of pocket for that? Probably not. So why not get something to cover that so that you can have the peace of mind of knowing, hey, I'm good. Like, no matter what, I'm good. So life, if clients get injured during sessions, a liability, this will protect you. Life can replace your household income. Like right now, I think I have like, I don't know, my girl's lucky if I die right now. Like she can get like 900,000 and more. If I were to, someone strangle me, she'll be rich. Okay?
Why women kill their husbands.
Right? Yeah. And I'm like, hey, she didn't think about me because I'm like, hey, where's your insurance policy? What if right? Yeah. So if anything happens, there's life to replace the household income. But also, people don't think about this. How many people plan on having kids at some point in their life? You plan on having kids? Everyone wants fur babies, like dogs and cats now. Right? Hey, that's what's up. Yeah. So one of the things to think about is, do your kids want to go to school in the future? If anything were to happen to you now, do you want to make sure that their lifestyle continues at least at the level and they can go to school and not stress out about it? Maybe, right? These are things that life can do to replace the things you care about. Health gives you the benefits, physio, massage, et cetera, and critical illness. A lot of people don't know this about critical illness, which is pretty cool. First of all, I mean, the downside, 40% of Canadians are going to experience a critical illness before they die. And the older you get, the higher chance of it happening, just because that's how aging works. You're deteriorating, right? So whether it's cancer, stroke, heart attack, it's probably like 40% of us in this room. Probably not this room because we're all fit, right? But in the school, 40% of people are going to go through this. Cool thing is, let's say you don't. There is both disability and critical illness insurances that if you get them, there's something called the return of premium. So I give them money in case something bad happens, and nothing bad happens, and now I'm 60, and I'm like, well, I don't really care if something bad happens now. I'm kind of old. 60 is not old anymore, guys. But I'm just saying that. You can actually get all your money back that you paid, plus interest. So now it becomes protection and an investment tool at the same time. Crazy. Why didn't anyone tell me this as a trainer? I would have got my pinched nerve fixed. I would have got all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, hey, I have another savings account that if I, heaven forbid, something happens, I'm good. All right, these are some of the insurances. And then employment insurances, if something causes you not to work, you can pay this voluntarily as a contractor or working anywhere, right? Some places it's mandatory. And then the next step is your CAMP. Now CAMP stands for Create, Advance, Multiply, and Prosper. Once again, this is the same code as before. So if you got the first code, don't worry about it this time. It's just in case people missed it. But now the idea is like, how can you create something more so that you don't have to trade your time for money, so you can build something bigger? How do you advance in your career and make strategic moves, strategic alliances, so you can make more movement? How do you multiply everything you're doing and then prosper? You get to sit back, relax, and enjoy. That is the base camp. After base camp, we ascend, but that pretty much is it, right? We reach our summit, we look out ahead, we say, hey, what do we want to make out of our lives? And you reach the summit, you're at the top. You already know what your numbers are like. You already know what your dream life looks like. You already know what your retirement's gonna look like. You know how to protect yourself as a trainer. I've given you between base camp, between your roadmap and your base camp, I've given you all the core tools that you need to financially be successful. The core tools. And I could talk about so much more for hours and hours. But at this point, I was just gonna open it up for like Q&A. I think we have a little bit of time. If anyone has like questions, comments, concerns, things you wanna know about, to pick my brain.
Good stuff, real life stuff, okay?
Talk to me. Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So the way that the write-offs are looked at, like my pets are a write-off because they're mascots for my company. Like they work. Does that make sense? So to find out how you can write something off is, does it help you make money? For me right now, the MITM club is fitness, finance, lifestyle. Wow, that kind of takes care of everything. I went on a vacation with my girl to, we went down to Mexico for a week. I film while I'm down there. I made the trip a write-off. I got business connections while I was down there because I want to host a retreat. It's called the 6 Pillar Summit, right? I want to bring 10 people out there to help them do some leadership stuff. I made the trip a retreat, or research for the retreat. So now the trip is a write-off. If I just went down to have fun, I mean, I had a lot of fun. Like, chill on the beach, but I was on the beach and I have footage of me filming for like 5-10 minutes. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna relax, right? I went to like, this place called X-Cart, underwater, fucking scuba thing, whatever, all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing research for the retreat because I want to bring people out here and have them have a good time. Now it's a write-off.
Give them that creme de la creme whenever I spit that hot shit. Ain't no lose or draw when it's the only option. Till I'm balling like Stockton, I'm locked in, researching the